In this video, we will install Python, we will see what interactive shell is, and we will also write our first program in Python. Let's start from the installation process then. We'll see how to install Python on Windows, Linux and Mac. And I will start from Mac because that's the easiest part. And it's the easiest because the Python is already installed on your Mac. This is my Mac's terminal, and you can check what version of Python you have installed by typing either Python version, it's -- version, or Python 3 -- version. And you can see I have version 3.11.4 of Python installed here. I mean, I didn't do that, it simply came with that Python installed. There is also a shorter version of that command. You can run just Python 1- and capital V, and then Python 3 - capital V. And regardless of operating system, you should always check both those commands. The reason that one might work and the other will not is because Python has two major versions. It's Python version 2 and Python version 3. And that first letter is so-called major release, and as you can see, it's Python version 3, and that's the Python we are interested in. So now, if you have older Mac, I mean very old Mac, you might have only version 2 of Python installed, which most probably will be shown when you run this command, Python -v. And if that's actually the case for you, then you need to install Python in version 3, because that is the version we are going to work with here. It's very easy, you can simply go to Google and just type Python Mac install or something similar. And if you go there to downloads, you can see download the latest version for macOS. So you just click this button and follow the instructions. But being on the Mac, it's probable that you're using the Homebrew package installer. Then you can run just brew update and brew upgrade. And once that is done, you can follow it with brew install Python 3. And this command will install Python in version 3 on your macOS. I have it already installed, so I will not run it, but this is the command you are interested in. And that's macOS done. I will show you now how to install it on CentOS 7. And I specifically chose that old operating system, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, that Python 2, Python 3. So if I go to that CentOS, by the way, this is the AWS, and as you can see, I've got two servers running. If you are interested how to set up AWS Cloud and how to set up the server, I will paste the link, it should be displayed right now, so you can do that yourself later on. Anyways, let's go to CentOS. So this is the CentOS server, and if I run Python version, I've got Python in version 2 installed here. It was pre-installed as well, I didn't have to install it, but it's version 2. And if I run Python 3 version, it says command not found. But I need Python 3, so I have to install it. It's super easy though, it's just sudo yum update first, just to make sure that, you know, our packages are up to date. The information about packages is up to date. And once that's completed, as you can see it's complete, you can just run sudo yum install Python 3. Yes, confirm. That was quick. And now let me maybe clear that again. If I run Python version, I've got version 2. It's still there. But if I run Python 3 version, I have also Python in version 3. And that is very important to understand, because we want to run the command that refers to Python version 3. I hope that makes sense now. On this particular CentOS, I would have to run always Python 3. But it's not always the case. If we jump to Ubuntu now, that's the other server, that's the Ubuntu. So it's this one, the first one, yeah. If I run Python version, it doesn't show anything because it doesn't come with Python version 2 installed. But if I run Python 3 version, it has Python 3 already installed. I didn't install it, it just came with this Python. But you might be on a CentOS or Ubuntu server, and you run Python, this first command, and it will come back with Python in version 3. Because it's very easy to create a so-called symlink for this command to refer to that command. I know it's a bit confusing, but both those commands would give you the same output then, because people usually don't install Python in version 2 anymore. People usually need only Python version 3. What is important for us, we have to know which command we can run, so we work with Python in version 3. And as I said, this Ubuntu came with Python 3 pre-installed, but if I didn't have it installed, the process would be very easy. The installation process would be very easy anyways, and it's basically the same as in CentOS 7, only Ubuntu uses apt package manager, which means we have to run sudo apt update first. We used to run sudo yum update, if you remember, on CentOS, and sudo apt update here. Okay, that's completed. Once that's done, we run sudo apt install Python 3. Instead of yum, we just use apt. That's the only difference. Click enter. You can see it says Python 3 is already the newest version, at least from the official installer, package installer, so it didn't do anything really. But that's basically it. So we've got macOS and Linux. Let's check the Windows now. On Windows, I can open terminal by typing cmd. This will open my terminal, and I run the same command. Python version. It says Python not found. Always remember to run the other command, Python 3 version. But it also says Python not found, because Windows doesn't come with Python pre-installed. So we'll just find one. We'll go to Google, Python install Windows, something like that. We just go to first link, downloads, and it says download the latest version for Windows. That's what we want to do. Click download. Once it's downloaded, I just click the exe file. Normal installation with just one little difference right now. It says add Python exe to path, and that's what we really want to do. Because if we don't do that, it's possible to do it later on, but it requires some knowledge that, we can just click that button and that's it. We don't have to worry about anything later on. So once you have that ticked, add Python exe to path, we can just follow standard installation process for Windows. I click install now, then just close. The other little thing, if you go back now to your terminal, and if you repeat those commands, like Python version and Python 3 version, you can see it still says Python not found. You simply have to close it and just reopen it, cmd, and now if you run it again, Python version, you've got Python 3 installed. And if you run Python 3 version, you can see Python not found. And now you see my point. You always have to run both commands, because Windows behaves completely different way. Even though it's Python in version 3, you have to run standard Python command rather than Python 3. But as long as you know which command to run on your operating system, that's fine, doesn't really matter. Alright, so that's Python installed on all operating systems. And now we have Python installed, but so what? How do we work with it? So the first option is that interactive shell I was talking about. And maybe let me close that. I will terminate those servers as well. We don't need them anymore. I can just use standard Ubuntu that I have locally here. So here I have to run, Python 3 version. Okay. It's the same version that I had in AWS on the other server. It's different Ubuntu, but the same version. So if I now just run Python 3 without that version, just Python 3, this will take us to what's called interactive shell. And the interactive shell is a place where you can write instructions for Python to process. And the most popular task that you usually do when learning any programming language, not only Python but any, is to display words "Hello World." And in Python, we can do it by using print function. So it's print, and then function has to have those brackets. So what we can do, inside those brackets, inside quotation marks, we can write "Hello World." And if I click enter, Python displays back the words that I put in those brackets. The print function is simply instruction for Python to process anything that we include inside those brackets and display the result back on our screen as it did here. And in this example, Python didn't have much to do really, but that print function can be used for many other things. Like we can use it as a calculator, for example. If I type print, and now let's say 3 multiplied by 4, don't know, and we use that asterisk to multiply numbers. So if I click enter, now I get back 12. Python first processed whatever was in those brackets, and only then displayed the result back on the screen. The same if I want to divide something. Let me just use up arrow. I can do 2 divided by 7. So this forward slash is used for division in Python. If I click enter, I have the result back. You might have noticed that I wrote those numbers without quotation marks though. While previously that hello world, I had to include that inside quotation marks at the beginning and at the end. This is how Python processes different data types, and we will learn about those data types more in dedicated video, but for now I wanted to show you that you can do stuff that at first sight might not make much sense. Because if I run, for example, something like, I don't know, print, and then, I don't know, 10 times hello world. You might think, oh, that's silly, but if I click enter, Python simply displayed 10 times string hello world. Yeah, because those words here, inside quotation marks, they are called strings in Python. And somebody might say, well, that's cool, but we were supposed to write a program, yeah? If I remember correctly. And yes, that's correct. And that's what we are going to do now. But that interactive shell, it's very, very useful if you want to, for example, test quickly some stuff, if you want to check some commands, but it allows you also to run multiple lines. It doesn't have to be one line, but it's simply a tool available within Python that you will find very, very useful later on. But for the time being, let's get out of this interactive shell. And to get out, we can actually use another function, and it's a function called exit. And because it's a function, we always have to follow it with brackets. And we don't have to put anything in those brackets, we can just click enter. And the other way to exit the interactive shell is Ctrl-D on Mac or Linux, or on Windows you can type Ctrl-Z and then click enter. Okay, so how do I write a program in Python? To write a program in Python, I just need to create a file with .py extension, that's it. Let me clear that. And I can use any text editor that I want. It doesn't matter which one I use. In Windows you can even use Notepad. On my Ubuntu I can use Vim, for example, or you know what? Let's just go first. What is it? Text editor. Okay. Let's just use this text editor. And I will write what? Print. We had hello world. But I can then write like what? Print 2 divided by 7. I can also print maybe 20 times my first program, maybe with spaces. And now I can save it, marek.py. Save. It showed up here, so I can close it, but how do I run it? I run it using command python3 and then path to this file. 1 second, let me just Ctrl-C. Where am I? Home. So, okay, I will go to desktop. And this is my file. So this is this file, marek.py. So now I'm in the same folder. I'm on the desktop. So I can just run python3 marek.py. If I click enter, it did. I can actually, 1 second. If I run cat marek.py, it will show me the commands, it will show me my program basically, so we can see it followed those instructions. It first printed hello world, then it divided 2 by 7, which is this, and then it printed 20 times my first program. Without spaces, we could add space here at the end. I know, the formatting isn't perfect, but never mind. And I know it might be very simple, but that's basically it. That's your first Python program. Hope that makes sense, and I will see you soon.